So back in 2016, when I started doing my gear reviews, 2015, 2016, somewhere around there, when I started doing these videos back in the day, I got a lot of questions. I got questions concerning this stick, concerning that stick. Should I switch to stick? Should I stick to pad? Should I get an expensive one? Should I get a cheap one? So going into 2018, I decided that I would kind of give gear reviews a facelift, a rework, and come up with something that is hopefully entertaining. And so I decided to call this Hurtbox's Arcade Corner, considering I'm actually in the arcade stick corner of this room. And so after coming up with that idea, I decided what better way to start this off than with the cheapest arcade stick on Y-Site. This is the cheapest stick on Newegg. While perusing Newegg, unaware of the horrors that were the overly inflated prices of GPUs and DDR4 RAM, I decided to go and take a look at their arcade stick selection. And to my surprise, they had a fairly decent selection of arcade sticks, especially compared to a few years ago. But getting past all of that, I ran into this. The USB Rocker Game Controller Fighting Stick Arcade Joystick Gamepad for the PlayStation 3 and PC. That's a mouthful. But as you can clearly see, I did not hesitate in purchasing this thing immediately. Firstly, this is what I got. No seal, just a slightly messed up box. And to my surprise, there is no rocker anything to be found on this box. Instead, we can see a company named Nagasan, at least I assume that's how you pronounce it, is the company that developed this stick. And instead of being called whatever that long-ass epic name was, it is just simply called the Game Arcade Controller. I was just as disappointed as you were. So opening up the box, there's some packaging, but it's nothing to write home about. A manual, I assume, is in the box. I wouldn't know, as the thing is as basic as you get. Plug in the stick, play the game. There's also this nasty plasticky smell that you find when you open this thing up. It smells like really cheap plastic. If you've ever bought something that's cheap from China or just any of those other Asian countries, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's like it's an even nastier smelling permanent marker, Sharpie marker. Yeah, it kind of smells like that at first. The smell does go away, but boy, is that uncomfortable. The stick itself is also a very odd shape compared to other arcade sticks that I've seen in the cheap arcade stick market. And by odd, I mean the most unconventional, ugly, and uncomfortable arcade designs I've ever seen. At first I thought this ugly film looking appearance was just some plastic that was covering the stick, but no, it turned out to be the actual artwork. The stick does sport a standard stick and 8-button layout, though it's not in any known button arrangement I've ever come across. This seems to be more of a early PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 kind of button layout, where you have the 4 face buttons of the controller in the middle, while the L1 and L2 are on the left and the R1 and R2 are on the right side. And it is just as uncomfortable and hard to play as you can imagine. This was made for the PlayStation 3, right? And why the hell do the 4 middle buttons look like the rejected Call of Duty crosshairs? You know what? Whatever. We're gonna move on. There's also a row of buttons on the top of the stick that are for turbo, select, mode, start, and clear. What the mode button is for, I can't be asked to find out. I looked at the manual, and it explained nothing. And in testing, I found no use for it. At first, I thought that it was probably a way to switch to PC when it's plugged in, or switch to the PS3 mode or something, but try as I might, nothing worked. Moving on to the back, we see that there are suction cups. All right, I guess that works. I mean, this is better than nothing, right? You better watch out. You know, Kwanba, Hori, Mad Cats, all you out there making arcade sticks. Nygassen's gonna be taking the world by storm. Just you watch. Speaking of testing, how does this thing perform? Look at it. I'm pretty sure this explains itself. Performs terribly is what I'm trying to say. It's awful. The buttons are the most resistant things I'm pretty sure I've ever felt. And I've played on really badly maintained American cabs of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. The stick isn't much better either. It's loose, unresponsive, and it feels just strange. Though I guess the oversized clear blue ball top is pretty cool. Though this thing was not screwed in properly. It came loose multiple times while playing some games. Which, I should point out first, that try as I might, I could not get this damn thing to work on the PC. I could only get it to work on the PlayStation 3. And I tried many games. Street Fighter V, KOF 13 and 14, Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2, Tekken 7, Dragon Ball FighterZ. I tried almost every fighting game that I have in my Steam library, and I could not get the thing to play. The light turns on, this thing when you plug it in. It also shows up as a USB controller when I plug it in, and it installed drivers of some sort, but it just will not play. So, with that in mind, I have to resort to Tekken 5 DR and other games on the PS3, as well as some games that support legacy controllers on the PlayStation 4. So, I'll be taking a look at things like Tekken 7, Rev 2, and Tekken 5 DR, just so that we have a few combos and you get to see what it's like. Okay, well, never mind that. Apparently, this stick doesn't even work on the PlayStation 4. In Tekken 7, it's recognized as a legacy controller, but it won't do anything but interfere with player 1's controller. And while I got it to work in Rev 2, for some reason Square and X were switched to the triangle and circle side, and vice versa. The strangest part is that plugging into a PlayStation 3 works fine, no issues. I guess that's even more of a reason not to stay away from it. Originally, I thought that, hey, if this thing does turn out to be a piece of junk, which, yeah, it is, I thought, hey, maybe I could salvage the ball top, that'd be cool, maybe this little dust washer here, you know, maybe these buttons, maybe the, not the buttons per se, but maybe the plungers that are on it. They're pretty cool, see-through aqua color, and I thought maybe I might get some value out of it, but, of course, no. Again, Nygassen ruins my fun. There's 9 holes that you have to get out, and stupidly, I thought you had to drill one of them. I drilled a couple of holes that I thought were where the screw was, only to find out it was on part of the label that I had not checked. Yeah, that's on me. But, considering that I am trashing this after we're done, doesn't matter that I drilled through and I may have hit the PCB once or twice. Still functions just fine. But, as you can see when opening it, the buttons are soldered to a PCB, there's a bunch of really cheap wiring, a bunch of just... It's just lackluster. There's nothing to see on the inside. And where it ruins my fun is on the inside of the plungers. they're not full plungers like Sanwa or say Mitsu or Kwanba, and that ruins my day. So I honestly don't know what to do with this stick other than take the ball top and the cheap dust washer off, as I don't think there are any uses for the buttons, but I will take apart the controller and I will take the buttons and I will take the ball top and all that off, and I'll see. I won't give up. I will see if I can somehow get Sanwas or something to fit into these plungers. Somehow. I don't know how, but I will. So, all in all, is the stick worth it? For 30 bucks? 30 some odd dollars that you're going to be spending on Newegg? Hell no! This is the most unconventional, ugly, unfun, and uncomfortable piece of crap that I've ever had to play. I mean, the creators of this thing, the Nygassen over here, were so lazy that, yes, this is for PS3 and PC. Turn this thing over, and what do you find? PS3 and PS2 version of the stick. They couldn't have a dedicated box for either. They just slapped it on one side and decided to ship it like that. At first I thought, hey, you know, I saw the wrong side and I was like, oh, does this have PS2 support? But then I realized that it just came with the USB cable. It didn't come with the PlayStation 2 adapter, which if it had, then it would be more valuable. If you're gonna get this version, if you're gonna get this stick, honestly, get the one with the PS2 adapter, rip the PCB out, learn a little basic soldering, and that way you can at least dual mod one of your sticks if you have one laying around, you know, for PS2, instead of having to buy something like the Tekken 5, you know, arcade stick or some other PlayStation 2 stick. At least try and get some value out of it if you're going to spend 30 bucks. Me personally, I have no use for this. I'd rather just spend it on something like Rev 2, which I believe is 30 bucks. Tons of games, tons of fighting games that are really good are on sale for 30 bucks. If you already have an arcade stick, 30 bucks can get you quite a lot of good quality arcade parts. Definitely leagues better than this. Shit, you could probably get Kwanba parts and be totally, and they would be miles ahead of what this thing can offer. So, avoid it like the plague. All I can say, do not buy this. I bought this because I thought this would be funny. I don't think it's been very funny. It hasn't been very fun to play with, I'll tell you that. It's honestly just the worst damn thing that I've ever had the displeasure of playing. But anyway, that is it for the cheapest arcade stick on, and this episode was Newegg. So if you liked it, you know what to do, hit like. If you disliked it, to hit dislike or whatever. Don't watch my videos ever again if you don't like me. But if you really did like this format, then go ahead and hit subscribe, do the whole bell notification thing, all that stuff that, you know, every other YouTuber tells you to do. And, you know, check out more. I have, check out all the old gear reviews. It's going to be like, what, looking at the screen, like somewhere up here. And that card is going to just take you to the playlist filled with all the reviews I've done in the past. I've done all the Kwanba stuff, except for the Carbon. I've done a hitbox. I've done some Hori products. I've done some Mad Cats. I've even done, I believe, a headset or two. You know, I've done quite a few reviews of arcade sticks. And what I'm looking to do with this going forward is do pads, do arcade stick parts like joysticks and buttons, and just overall guides on arcade stick parts, arcade sticks in general. I feel that I've collected enough and played on them for long enough to give a pretty good opinion on them. So, with that being said, roll the end card. I'll see you guys in the next one. Also, don't forget, I might actually destroy that stick for a video. It might be a funny meme. Just saying. God, what the fuck am I? What was that, a fucking Dragon Ball Z reference? What am I, Cancer?